Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to the one-shot double feature from the subreddit HFY. Both of these stories have been written by LgFatherAnthrocite. The link to the originals will be down below. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Story number 1. Promise. You want to know why human soldiers are so scary? I can tell you. It's not what you think, though. Let me explain. Urukai warriors are some of the most gifted fighters in the galaxy, raised from birth to be fighters, trained from the day one to use any number of weapons and hand-to-hand techniques. They fight because that is all that they know. Drissom soldiers are all conscript. They are selected at random and trained to fight using basic weapons and techniques. But they bring lifetimes of other knowledge to the fight, increasing their effectiveness. They fight because they must. Barso fighters are a few highborn officers and loads of Barso commoners who really like to fight. They fight because they want to. The Kalagi warriors have a mandatory service. Everyone spends 3 galactic standard cycles in the military after leaving their molting ponds. They fight because it's expected of them. But why do humans fight? Well, that's a bit tricky. They fight because they said they would. I know what you're thinking. Isn't that the same as the Barso? No. They aren't going into the military so that they can scrap with Xenos out of the fringe. Well, some do, I suppose. And some join because they have a tradition of family service. Some are there to kickstart their adult lives. Some are there because, and I quote, it beats prison. Humans become soldiers for all sorts of reasons, but that's not why humans fight. Humans fight because this is a really disturbing part, because humans make something called promises, and that should scare you. Promises are without a doubt the single most frightening thing about humans. A promise, well, that's hard to explain. Here, let me tell you a story about a human that I knew. His name was Sergeant Smith. He wore his little silver charm on his neck, a cross it was called, an old Earth religious symbol. I asked, why did he have it, and he said he promised his mum that he would never take it off. When I asked what a promise was, this is what he said. A promise means I've said to you I will do this, and I give my word, whatever this is. Keep a secret, share a fortune. If a human makes a promise, they keep it. Some from the most amazing things humans have done have been to keep promises. Climbed mountains so tall that there is no air to breathe at the top. Swam miles and miles in frigid water. Carry their hurt and sick friends for miles through the wilderness till they are rescued. Some great cultural masterpieces of film, literature, and music are the result of a promise. When you get down to it, a man only has a few things he can call his own. A man's word is one of them. My mom made me promise that I would wear it, and I haven't taken it off in 7 years. That's why the human military is so scary. They fight because they promise to kill you or die trying. End of story number 1. Story number 2. Family. Harvey was starting to get a little worried. The kids had been into the access tunnels for several hours, and he wasn't sure where they were. He pulled out his compad and the kids' compads. He saw that they were near the engine room, and started aft towards the engines. As he approached them, he started calling out their names. Charlie, Shauna, Gristalt, Arkiv. Come out, wherever you are. He started banging onto the bulkhead. After a few seconds, the air duct and the ceiling swung open, and from 2 sides, 4 heads popped out. 2 boys and 2 girls. 1 pair of humans and 1 pair of Zitchki. Hey, Daddy, said the little human girl. He held up his arms, and she shimmied forward and slid out of the duct into his upraised arms. He kissed her head and set her on the deck. He stood back to reach up for Shauna, and he also dropped into his arms. Again, a kiss on the head and set her onto the deck. He looked up at the boys, and they looked back down at him. Shoulders, he said, and the boys giggled as they disappeared back into the vent. A second later, a small pair of legs swung out and grabbed his ankles and set them on his shoulders. Charlie reached his hands down and grabbed the top of his dad's head. Once he was stable, his dad grabbed his wrists and slid him down the dad's back, landing on the deck. Harvey looked back up and saw an insectoid set of legs and did the same thing, setting Gristalt onto the deck. Mess hall, dinner, go, Harvey shouted the last bit, and all 4 kids tore off down the passage, slapping the bulkheads as they passed. Harvey walked more calmly towards the mess hall. As he rounded the corner into the mess hall, he saw the Rakasta putting up 2 trays full of food onto the table. She was slightly shorter than he was, with a shiny blue-black carapace. He rubbed his knuckles on his hand across the junction between her thorax and abdomen. She trilled happily, and they both sat down at the table. The kids were already in their chairs starting to grab pieces of fruit and vegetables, and there was a small pile of pita and some shaved beef-flavored protein. Harvey pulled another variation of taco. Just before taking a bite out, he said, "So how do they look?" Bristol swallowed his mouthful of cabbage leaf and said, "They looked pretty good. They were a little dusty, but there were no signs of animals." Charlie was still chewing on an apple as he said, "The pipes and cables are in good shape too." The girls giggled at Charlie's bad manners. They were sharing a plate of fruits and veggies. They were talking back and forth with a mashup of Zetchki, Terran, and some other own made-up words. Rakasta held out a piece of burgle root in her hand, and she answered, "How much did you map this time?" She bit into the piece of bitter tuber and chewed slowly. From the galley to life support, Bristol said. "Wow, good job," Rakasta said. "We have about 2 more weeks until we dock. You guys will be done inspecting and mapping the way before then." "Good job, guys," said Harvey. "Dad, be night tonight?" Shauna asked, clicking her mandibles excitedly. "Genja Choktka?" asked Arkiv, using Zetchki as plead with their own sister. "Genja, please." The boys joined in too. "Genja, Dad, please, Choktka." "If you guys help Mom clean up and promise to make room for us in the pile, then okay." The children cheered and Rakasha chittered at them, and Harvey smiled, again rubbing his knuckles on her back. The pile of blankets and pillows on the floor was massive. There were a few low trays and drinks and some popcorn and citrus slices. The kids were squabbling over what to watch. Harvey and Rakasha were getting comfy in the pile. She looked at Harvey and used a gripping hand to hold his. "I'm so grateful you took us in, Harvey. I couldn't imagine raising 2 kids of my own." "Wait, I took you in?" He looked confused. He had been terrified of trying to raise the kids without a mom. Rakashta had been working with him when she found out that her husband had been killed in a car crash. Harvey and his wife had helped her out immediately afterwards, watching her kids and having her over all the time after work. When Harvey's wife was taken ill, Rakashta had started to take care of all the kids. After several weeks, she had moved into the lower level of the house with their kids. After Harvey's wife passed away, she kept taking care of all the kids. When the opportunity to buy a cargo vessel came up, Harvey talked to Rakasa about joining him. Their little family unit was moved out of the house and into the crew quarters of a small cargo ship. Harvey trained the kids to pilot and maintain the ship, and Rakasta dealt with the business end. They taught the kids both Zetchki and Terran and encouraged them to treat each other as siblings. After 6 months, the girls were nearly inseparable, and the boys were always testing each other, but always stood united against the girls. "It doesn't matter who took who in, we're a family, and that's all that matters," Harvey said. The girls jumped on his lap, and the boys lay down on either side of their mom. Harvey smiled at his friend and winked and pressed play. End of story number 2. I hope that you enjoyed. If you'd like to support the channel or the author, all the stuff is down below. And as always, I hope that you guys have a good one, and I'll see you in the next story. Cheers.